Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another Only One Hotspur podcast. It's just me and Joe today, and today we are going to be previewing our upcoming game against Sheffield United. Absolutely massive game, this one, for both sides in their push for Europe and those sort of Europa League places. Joe, how do you then see this game going? Because obviously, from our perspective, picking up points against West Ham, but we've had a 9-day break, and Sheffield United haven't been as good as they were pre-lockdown. So it's going to be an interesting one. This, how do you see it going?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting game. I think it'll be a good quality game as well. I think obviously us having that break, I think will do us good. I think that will help Mourinho a bit because obviously getting that work in. Obviously didn't really have the chance before the restart as much, obviously all the restrictions and everything. But we've had 9 days where we can train properly, which is good. I think, and I think it'll be a good game because obviously Sheffield United haven't been the best since the restart. They should have won against Villa, apart from the goal line technology not working that day. But apart from that, they haven't looked good in when they played either. They might have had a few glimpses against Arsenal at the weekend, but nothing special. I think they're there for the beating. To be honest, I think they look a bit down at the minute. I think lack of fans for them is a massive thing. I think some teams rely on them fans, and I think Sheffield United, obviously, they've got a really good fan base. They're passionate fans, especially away from home, where obviously it is for us at Bremel Lane. I think it would have been a harder game if the fans were there. And I think the break they didn't want that break to come. I think they were flying. Obviously, where they are in the table is absolutely fantastic. And Chris Wilder, what a job he's done. I think every set of fans, is like, wow, well done, Sheffield United. That's, no one can take that away from them. And I think it is a bit of a shame, to be honest with you. I think everyone would have liked to see them in the European place. Unless if it means us not getting it, I think that's fair to say. I think it would have been great for English football, to be honest with you, if they'd have got a European place, even if it was just the qualifying stages of the Europa League. I think it would have been a massive step. A team just coming up from the Championship, taking it by storm. Playing good football. They've got different ways of playing as well. So you never quite know what you're going to get with them. They can play quite direct. They can play, through the lines, and they are a very good team. I think we will just edge it, to be honest with you. I think the break, what we've had, will help. Obviously, they had quite an intense game against Arsenal at the weekend, which they sadly lost. I think, obviously, they couldn't rest loads of players. And obviously, they picked up an injury as well in that game to John, I can't say his name.
Lundstrom.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much. Just embarrass myself. That's why we go. But he's had a very good season as well. So, that might be, as bad as this might sound, a bit of a blessing for us. Obviously, they've got Sander Berge, Norwood, Fleck in there as well, who are all really good players as well. But obviously, Big John seems like he's had a very good season so far. So, yeah, quite good for us how he's injured. Obviously, I hope he's better soon, as soon as our game's finished. But yeah, I think we'll win, to be honest with you. I think the break will do us good. I think our players will be fresh. Hopefully, Dele, Harry, Gio will all be ready to fire. Son as well, so we haven't obviously seen the best of him yet. Obviously, good old Stevie as well. You know how much I love him. I think, but yeah, I think we should win that game, and I think it'll be a very good game of football, to be honest with you. What about you, mate?
Very, very interesting game now, given the circumstances. I think had we played them with fans, when we were due to play them, I would have been very, very worried, because the form they were in, they were absolutely, they were flying. Like you say, love the way that they play, obviously with their overlapping centre backs, which I don't think anybody's managed to cotton onto yet, and stuff like that. I think, as you said, Chris Wilder's done an amazing job there, bringing them up right the way from League One, Championship, and now into the Premier League. I do actually like Chris Wilder as well as a manager. I think he's really, really refreshing as a manager. Like when he speaks in interviews, he doesn't mince his words, says it completely as it is, and he's got Sheffield United playing really, really well. Obviously, since the restart, they've not been at their usual, well, I'd say usual selves, but what we've become accustomed to seeing from Sheffield United over the course of the season. And then I think anybody that's watched them in the Championship and even in League One will sort of know how they've gone about their business. I think, though, they've had obviously a couple of injuries, which has really upset their balance of their team. Whereas before, they had a very, very settled starting 11, and it was quite hard for somebody coming in as a new signing or whatnot to actually break into that team, because it was so settled and everybody knew their jobs and their responsibilities. But I think we'll be full of confidence. Obviously, beating West Ham, as I mentioned, should give the lads a bit of a boost. I think the 9-day break might help us in, as you said, getting some time out on the training pitch. But I think sometimes as a player, you want after you've won, you want that next game to come fairly quick, and you don't want to have to wait too long for it. So, we're saying that the 9-day break might help, but actually it could go against us, because Sheffield United have been constantly sort of playing. So, yeah, I mean, they'll want to prove a few people wrong, a few doubters wrong, because their form has dipped since the restart. So they want to prove a few people wrong. But I mean, I don't think anybody can still take away the fact that they have come up from the Championship, one of the favourites to go down, and they're sitting in the top half of the Premier League. But I actually think as well this game is really, really crucial for us, because with Burnley beating Palace, Burnley now level on points with us, which I don't think anybody would have foreseen a couple of games ago. I think that's just come out of absolutely nowhere. So I think the pressure is really, really on us to get the 3 points, which it might suit Sheffield United a bit more, actually, because they can sort of sit in and then try and hit us on the counter-attack. And I don't think actually we've looked the best when teams have tried to counter-attack us. And I actually think as well they outplayed us in the reverse fixture at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They absolutely outplayed us that day. And I think that was the point for me where I started to feel like something wasn't right in the team and in the squad. Because obviously, no disrespect to Sheffield United, but we've just come off the back of a Champions League final, and stuff like that, and we're getting outplayed by a side that's just been promoted. There's something that just wasn't right. There was that day for me, and stuff. So yeah, that's how I think the game will be. A good game. Well, I hope so. Anyway, don't want a boring 0-0. Send us to sleep, I think. But yeah, I think it'll be a good game. Should be a good game. Should be exciting to watch. Both teams have really got sort of something to play for. So it's not like you're going to have a situation where one team hasn't got much to play for, just going to sit back and just go through the motions. I think both teams will want to go and go and attack early on. So Joe, key players, who do you think is going to be key in in deciding this game?
Yeah, I think. I'll start with them because obviously they're the home team. I think Sander Berge. I think he'll be a key player for them because obviously he doesn't start. Obviously, most. I think they switch around that midfield a little bit, don't they? I think, and obviously he'll be starting. I think 'cause he didn't start against Arsenal, and obviously Big John is injured, so yeah, I think he'll be
I can't get
starting.
my head around the fact that you can't get
Lundstram.
John Lundstram right. He's been like
Lundstram.
a
I know.
fantasy team god this year with the
Oh yeah, I
points.
know that. Oh no, and I know how well he's done. It's just my pronunciation is absolutely shocking.
I wouldn't
So
mind if he was like if he was a foreign player, but he's English. Makes it even worse.
yeah, but it's not the easiest surname to say. Let's face the facts. Um, but yeah, I think Sander Berge will be key in that midfield for them. Obviously, he's a very good player. He's got bright future ahead of him as well. Good defensive. Excuse me. Good defensively. Good passer of the ball. I think he'll be very key. But obviously, I think they're full-backs as well. And like George Baldock hasn't had the best start since coming back. He hasn't quite found the mark quite yet, but we know obviously he can put in good deliveries. And obviously the way they play, obviously they like their fullbacks to get up and then their centre backs to then come up as well, which is obviously exciting and good, crazy to watch in a way because you're like, wow. Obviously Ender Stevens as well, but obviously Ender Stevens is playing with sort of like Robinson now, aren't they? Because obviously O'Connell is injured, which is a massive loss for them. Because obviously they're so used, as you said, they've got pretty much that set 11. Obviously they might switch and change a couple of players, mainly the attackers really. But that back line pretty much set in stone. And I think with O'Connell injured, they're missing that a lot because obviously him and Ender Stevens had that link up and Robinson hasn't quite been able to fit in as well, which is understandable for the way they play. I think McBurney as well will be a big player for them because I quite like him because obviously he just looks like a very awkward person to mark because he's obviously tall, like got presence there, and he's not that bad with his feet either. To be fair to him, he scored a couple of very good goals. The one against United at home stands out to me. He isn't a bad striker, to be fair to him, and I think he'll be a big presence for them and could cause us a few problems because, like, especially in the air as well. I think for us, obviously good old Gio. I think off the performance what he had the other night, obviously very good performance. Hopefully we can keep that going. Can keep things ticking over in that midfield. I believe he will start. I think after his performance the other day, I think he's got to. It's not like it's a game straight after as well where he has to rest him or something. It's been 9 days, so I can't see him not starting. You can't look past Harry Kane either because he's got a goal. Hopefully hungrier for more, and obviously you just can't look past him because he just is a world-class player. But yeah, I think it's hard to pick out key players for this one. I think because I just think the way Sheffield United play, you're going to need. I think that midfield is going to be a very key area, and if you're not sure who's actually going to start in there. Like I think most likely, I think will be Sissoko and Gio. So Sissoko is probably going to need to do a lot of running again. Hopefully be able to string 5-yard passes together. But yeah, I think the midfield is going to be a very, very key area. And I think trying to get them on the counter as well is going to be a big thing. Obviously, if their centre-backs coming up, trying to play in the gaps. So then you've got Stevie and Sonny, or Lucas, whoever plays up there. I think that they're going to have a big game as well to try and find them gaps. But But yeah, what about you?
I agree with you from Sheffield United perspective. Sander Berger, how he's ended up at Sheffield United, by the way, I do not know, because he was having the pick of the top European clubs, and he's quality. Remember watching him a couple of times and just thought, like, he's too good for the league that he was in, and he could have gone to play for, like I say, one of the more elite clubs in Europe. So I think he's going to be so key for them. I think if O'Connell is back and is fit, he will be key. Because he's an out and out centre half, left footed, rarity anyway. But I think with the way Sheffield United have set up recently, with Robinson playing in there, he's a bit more. He's a fullback really, playing as a left-sided centre back, and sort of filling in and doing a job. And I don't think that balance of that back three's looked the same. I think they've really missed O'Connell. Obviously, big presence in both boxes as well. Dominant centre back, puts his body on the line, but can also play. I think those two will be key. If Egan is back available, he got a red card against Newcastle, didn't he? So a bit unsure if he's available. But if he is again, he'll be key. And I think actually the relationship that the three centre halves have with each other is quite key. So those two I think will be key. I think going forward, I think Norwood is going to be key for Sheffield United as well. Keeps things ticking over. Between him and Sander Berg, they'll look to set the tempo of the game and stuff like that. I agree with your point as well on Ollie McBurney. I think he's an awkward player to sort of play against. He seems all arms and legs and gangly. Similar mould, I'm guessing, to Peter Crouch, but I think he's a bit more of a crossover between Crouch and Andy Carroll. Bit of a throwback striker, but is actually fairly decent with his feet as well, and is actually quite underrated with his feet. I think again, as you mentioned, the wing backs going to be key. They create the width, even though the centre backs bomb on as well. I think Baldock and Stevens, and Ender Stevens actually hasn't had the best of restarts. If I look back at one of the goals that Newcastle scored, he's tried to come across some cover and clear his lines, and he's absolutely had a pizza slice. It's gone through his legs, and Newcastle ended up scoring. So I just think Sheffield United, for me, almost need to sort of go back to what they were doing previously, almost that back to basics kind of approach for them and it should help them a little bit more. I think for us, I know we're going to go on to our predicted lineups shortly, but I think we'll try and match Sheffield United playing with the back three. I think Harry Kane's always going to be in there, such a key player for us, brings a lot to the team, and is so pivotal to the way we play, and it's why I never get the argument that Spurs are better without Harry Kane, because he's so key. Like I say, for the way that we play. I think Son is going to be key. I think Son's always a danger man for us. You never know though what you're going to get with Sonny. I think he can be a bit inconsistent, but when he's on it, he's on it. It's just a case of when he's not on it, he sticks out like a sore thumb, unfortunately. And I think as well, Eric Dyer is going to be a key one. Can he keep up the form that he's shown in these early games, or is he going to be? He's had a bit of a break, because I assume that he would want a game in a couple of days after the two that he's had and the performances that he's played. Is he going to replicate that form that he's shown, or is he going to tail off slightly? I think he'll be key, because if they are to play, Sheffield United got 4 strikers in terms of option. They've got McBurney, tall presence, can Dyer handle him in the same way he handled Antonio? McGoldrick's awkward to play against. Billy Sharp, experienced centre forward. Mousse can cause problems as well. So I think Dyer will be key. So I do think he'll start. Can't really leave him out after the performances that he's put in. So yeah, I would say those guys are going to be key for us. And Joe, I know you briefly touched on it a little bit, but where do you see these key battles across the pitch? Where do you think the game's going to be won and lost, if you like?
You can never look past the midfield. I think obviously that's always the big part of the game, because especially with the way they play, their centre halves getting forward as well. Obviously, that's just going to overpopulate that midfield. So obviously, we've got to be strong in there, and then we've got to be quick with the turnover as well. When we get the ball, we've got to press forward quickly. Try and get at the gaps. That's going to be very, very key. Obviously, I think, if we've got Sissoko in there, I think that's the one thing I would worry about, because I think at times his passing isn't all that, is it? I think we can both agree on that. And I think at times, in games like this, you need to move the ball quickly and efficiently. And I think at times he's just a bit, I've got the ball, yeah. If you know what I mean. So I think that's going to be an interesting one. I think obviously the wide areas, because the way they hold their width with their fullbacks, I think is because that's where they get their width, because they've got that quite narrow midfield. Play the two up top, so it is their wing backs, and I think our wingers are going to have to drop back as well a little bit. I think they're going to have to do quite a lot of defensive work. And yeah, as I said, I think obviously McBurney up against Dyer or Sanchez or Toby, I think that's going to be a very, very good battle and a very key battle. I think we're going to have to be very strong there. I think the other centre half as well is going to have to be keeping an eye on that in case McBurney wins a flick or something. They've got to be covering in behind. So I think that's going to be a very interesting battle as well, to be honest with you. I think that's where I see the most key battles, and obviously Harry Kane up against who's ever playing at the back for them. Trying to get in them gaps when their other centre halves press forward. Trying to run off the back of them. I think that'd be very interesting as well. What about you?
I think similar to yourself, you can never sort of look past the midfield. I think obviously I know we're going to come on to our predicted lineups, but I anticipate the midfield looking a bit like it'll be Sissoko up against John Fleck or Norwood. If Lo Celso plays or Winks plays again, they might be up against one of those. Dele probably will start. I think him up against Sander Berge will be key, because I anticipate Berge will be the deeper one out of their midfield trio, which will allow Fleck to get forward and make runs from deep like he's done when he has played this season. Wing backs, as I've mentioned, I anticipate will match Sheffield United. So I think Stevens up against Aurier will be a very, very interesting battle. Both love to get forward, but aren't the greatest defensively. So yeah, again that'll be key. The other side, George Baldock against Ben Davis or Sessegnon, because Sessegnon might get a run out for this one. Again, be key. Similar to the other side, both love to get forward. I do think Baldock is slightly better defensively though than Sess. But if he's up against Ben Davis, that'll be a really interesting battle, because I think they are fairly similar. I just think Baldock's delivery is probably slightly better. But then Joe, as we know with our Milton Keynes sort of connections, George used to play as a midfielder, so that's probably why he's got the delivery that he has got. I think McGoldrick, I anticipate he'll start. Scored, didn't he, against Arsenal? So he's probably on a bit of a high from that one. He hasn't got too many this season, but I think Wilder's shown a lot of faith in him all season. And him up against Alderweireld, because I imagine he'll play. That'll be an interesting battle. I think Son up against the two outer centre halves of Basham and then either O'Connell or Robinson, because I think he might have a bit of a license to roam across that front line. And in that transition, in the turnover, we've, as you said, we've got to be quick breaking, and I think Son's crucial for us on that. Provides so much pace, so much energy as well. I think there's some good battles across the pitch, but then again, like I said, if we would have said this at the start of the season, I think people would have said that we were on something or a bit loopy. But as the season's gone on, I think it's a credit to Sheffield United really and how good they've actually been, because now we're talking about them being a danger threat and not we're Tottenham. We should be turning up expected to win and turn them over. Like I say, interesting and key battles across all the pitch really. So Joe, we know Sheffield United 3-5-2 mainly. Who do you see starting for them? We're going to start with them because obviously they are the home team. So who do you anticipate playing for Sheffield United?
Yeah, obviously it'll be Henderson in goal. Obviously he's had a fantastic season.
Do you think Henderson will be in goal though, because he's on loan from United? There's a bit of speculation as to whether that might get extended to the end of the season or not.
I'm pretty sure it has been extended to the end of the season. I'm pretty sure that's already been done. He will start. Obviously, he made the mistake for the second goal, I feel, against Arsenal. So he'll be wanting to make a point, make up for him, because I think he's his harshest critic as well. I think obviously he made that mistake against Liverpool earlier on in the season, and after that he was absolutely unreal again. So I think that's going to be a hard one to get past. Then you've got I'll go over the three centre halves. I think it will be obviously John Egan probably in the centre, Basham. I think it will still be Robinson. I think, because I don't think O'Connell is back. Obviously, if he is, O'Connell will go straight in. Then it'll be Stevens, Baldock out wide, Sander Berge and Norwood and Fleck in the middle for them, which is obviously very important. And then I think the front two is the hardest to predict, because I think this is what they switch around and try and keep a bit fresh. I do think McBurney will start, to be honest with you. And I've got a feeling it'll be Lys Mousset. I think them two will start. I think Mousset, I believe, didn't feature at all against Arsenal. So I think that he's fresh. And I think that's something what Chris Wilder tries to do, try to keep one fresh at least, to try and have an impact in the next game. I think it'll either be Mousset or Sharp up there with McBurney, to be honest with you. That's my thought for the Sheffield United team.
Yeah. My Sheffield United team, Henderson in goal. If I'm going off what you're saying there with his loan being extended till the end of the season. Back, wing backs, Baldock and Stevens. Three centre halves, Basham, Egan. I think O'Connell will play because I think, as I mentioned earlier, the relationship that Robinson's had with John Egan, and then his relationship with Ender Stevens as well, hasn't been great, and I think Chris Wilder might look to change that part of the pitch in order just to make them a bit more solid defensively. And I actually think as well some of the goals Sheffield United have conceded have come down that side, whereby Stevens has probably attacked, Robinson's had to go out, and then all of a sudden, a couple of passes, they're in behind and there's been goals. And I don't think actually Jack Robinson's been that good defensively for Sheffield United in those games as well. If any Sheffield United fan wants to tell me different, then let me know in the comments section. I think if O'Connell's fit, for me, he starts. Obviously, if not, it'll probably be Jack Robinson. Quite interesting though that the lad Restos from Bayer Leverkusen, Sheffield United didn't try and buy him, because I think everybody was looking at their squad in January and the signings they were doing and thinking that Sheffield United were playing real life Football Manager with signing Sanderberger, Restos and Severovic as well. So yeah, that was quite some really, really good signings on their part. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, and like I say, everybody was sort of going, these are playing real life Football Manager here, like what's going on? Yeah, so I think that was quite interesting because I think Restos might have actually offered them potentially something else, but I don't think he's played too much actually since, or when he was at Sheffield United. Midfield, I think, again, similar to you, it will be Sanderberger, as I said earlier, probably be the deeper one of the two with Ollie Norwood. And Fleck as well, but Fleck will probably have the license to get forward a little bit more. I actually think that part of the pitch is where Wilder might make a substitution during the game, look to bring on Luke Freeman, a little bit of creativity in there as well. Trying to get in between our midfield and our defensive line, which Freeman has done throughout his career, especially in the Championship and stuff like that. Up top, I'm going to go slightly different with you. I'm going to go with, I think McGoldrick will start ahead of McBurney. And I think Mousset will partner him up top as well. I know you sort of said Billy Sharp might go in with McBurney, but for me it's Mousset and McGoldrick. I think those two have probably been, I wouldn't say Sheffield United's like go-to strike force, but I think when they have played together, they've looked dangerous and they've looked really, really good together as a pair. And I think probably those two are the ones that are probably going to cause us the most problems. I know we mentioned before about McBurney being awkward, but McGoldrick doesn't really give centre halves a moment's peace. Mousset's quick, so we'll always have that threat in behind, and is nabbed quite a few goals for Sheffield United as well, to really propel them to sort of where they are now. So yeah, that's my lineup, guys. Let us know in the comment section what you think of our Sheffield United lineups. So from Sheffield United to the mighty Spurs, Joe, how is Jose going to set us up for this one?
Yeah, I think it's going to be very similar to the West Ham game. I don't think he's going to want to change too much. And obviously we've got the win there. We look quite solid defensively. So I don't think he's going to want to change too much.
Do you not think he'll perhaps want to try and match up the fact that Sheffield United have the three centre halves?
No, because I think the way Jose plays with that 4-2-3-1, we do pretty much play with a back three, if that makes sense anyway. So I don't think, I think it'll be a 4-2-3-1 still, to be perfectly honest. Because obviously Davis does come across as almost like a third centre half, because obviously Aurier just goes on an adventure. So yeah, I think. I think he'll stick with that, and I think he's wanting to sort of, put his stamp on the team. And I think that is what he wants to do, for at least this season. So yeah, I think it will be obviously Hugo in goal, who's had a brilliant restart. I think Serge right back. I think
your best mate Serge.
Oh my god! I'm just waiting for that one mistake, and then you know exactly what's going to come on a review, don't you?
Yeah, 100%.
But I think he might change the centre half partnership for this game. I think Dyer will start 100%, but I think he might bring in Toby for this one. I think, to be perfectly honest, because as I said, I think McBurney will start. So I think you might want Toby in there instead, because I think Toby is a bit better in the air than Sanchez. And obviously Davis left back. I think Gio, Sissoko, obviously, which is probably another area what I'm not too comfortable in. I think obviously Son will start, Dele will start. I think Bergwijn will come in for Lucas. Because I think Bergwijn, when he came on against West Ham, looked a threat against Man United, brilliant. And Lucas didn't offer too much, in my opinion, against West Ham. And then obviously H up top. I think then you've got the options of Lucas coming on. You've got Winks on the bench. You've got a good bench there.
Is Dele going to start as well for you?
Yeah, I did say him alongside. Yeah, listen, Wes, listen. God, shocking from you. Yeah, of course, Dele's going to start. I think. Yeah, but obviously, yeah, I think we've got a strong bench then as well. Whether or not he uses all 5 subs, I think Jose is trying to make a point of only using 3 or not even 3, like against United. Obviously, you've got, as I said, you've got Winks, you've got Lucas, you've got Lamela, you've got Ndombele, Cess. You've got a very good bench there, so that'll be interesting. But obviously, you're hinting that you reckon we're going to go and match them, so I'm quite intrigued to hear your lineup here.
Yeah, just before we do though, obviously, Joe, a lot's been made of Jose not using all 5 subs. Obviously, doesn't have to, but a lot of people have mentioned the fact he's only using a couple of subs. I just want to get your brief thoughts on that just before we go into my lineup.
Yeah, I think part of me is a little bit frustrated, to be perfectly honest, because I think it's a good opportunity to get some people who might not get as much game time, a bit more game time. Like your Cess, like maybe like Skip, players like that. Obviously, Ndombele as well, it seems. But I can see why he is doing it, because I think the 5 subs, and especially the games I've seen, at times it does ruin the flow of the game. You've got players in there who've been in the game, they know how it's sort of going, and you've got a new player coming on, and that's always a risk. And then 5 players coming on, that is half of your outfield players. Then it's just, I think you said this in an earlier episode. I think it is it can be a get out of jail free card for the managers. I think sort of like, I don't know whether that is you who said it or pundit who said it. Like, so that's a bit of a compliment to you if it is a pundit. But it is a bit of a get out of jail free card, isn't it? Really, because if the manager's made a mistake, or even a couple of mistakes, I've got a couple of extra subs there who I can change that around with. But yeah, I'm personally not the biggest fan of the 5 subs. I think watching it at the start, I was all for it because getting players a bit more game time. But from watching these games, it does ruin a bit of the flow. It's just a bit, here we go. And obviously, you're having to bring on a few subs at a time as well. Like, we've seen teams bring on 3 subs at a time, and that is a massive risk, and that does ruin the flow of the game, because then them 3 players are all having to adjust, and the players around them are having to adjust. So, yeah, I think I can't see Jose using all 5 subs, to be honest, unless if we are winning comfortably in the game. I think if it is a close game, then he will stick to the maximum of 3 subs. So like what he has done with 2 games. But say if we're winning 3-0 and looking comfortable, then he might try and bring on a player to give him more game time. I think that is sort of the points he's making in his interviews as well, to be perfectly honest with you. So I think that'll be interesting. But I don't think we'll be winning 3-0 against Sheffield United, so I don't think that'll be happening. But what about you? What's your thoughts on it?
Obviously, like I said, Jose doesn't have to use all 5 subs. I don't know if he's making a point to Levy by sort of going like, look, this is all I've got, and this is all I've got to change things. Because I think any Spurs fan watching and has watched us this season realises probably the job that Pochettino had done previously before sort of this season and even sort of halfway through last season in terms of getting us to a certain point with the squad. And I just think it's lacked that freshness and I think the team and the squad has gone stale. I think Mourinho, he recognises it to a point, but then also he realises that we have got still some very, very good players at the football club. So yeah, I think with his substitutions, they've been very interesting because I think he is wanting to change things, but then he's looking around and going, well, who can I actually turn to really change it? We seem to be stacked in, it looks like, defenders and midfielders, but not very stacked in the front areas. And I think it's been like that for a while. Obviously losing Llorente last summer, not replacing him even then, or even in January, I think was a big missed opportunity for us. So yeah, and I think Jose doesn't really want to change too much, and I think he's just going, look, okay, I've got these options if I need them, but I don't want to use all of them because I can. It's only if and when I need to. So yeah, I think it's obviously been quite interesting and quite strange. Majority of clubs and managers have used all five. Some have, some haven't. I don't think our squad is stretched to the point. Look at Burnley against Palace. Burnley only naming 7 out of 9 subs, and most of those were youngsters on their bench. So they're really stretched to their limits. I don't, obviously, with the whole kind of contract situation with certain players, I don't know if that's played a factor. I don't think it's affected us too much, but it's probably affected other clubs a bit more than us. So yeah, no, I think the subs thing has been really, really interesting in the sense that, Jose's got them there and people are, sort of pushing for him to use them, but he's sort of sticking to his gun, sticking to his principles. And, I think by and large, Jose's been happy with the performances. And I wouldn't say, I'd say sometimes the way that we've played, because I think the way we played against United, there was a game plan there. It wasn't probably the most glamorous of viewing, but there was a game plan there, and I think by and large we stuck to it. Obviously barring the Dyer error, and yeah, I think West Ham was the frustrating one for me because that was a bit of a throwback to the AVB days for me. So yeah, I think by and large, Jose's been happy with the performances. Look, we've got 4 points out of the 2 games from the restart, so it's not a bad start. Teams haven't even won a game since the restart, so we've got to try and think positive for a change. So yeah, that's my view on the subs bit. In terms of my Tottenham lineup, Hugo in goal, back 3, Alderweireld, Dyer, Vertonghen, wing backs of Aurier and Davis, midfield, I'm going to go with Winks and Lo Celso, and then Dele as a number 10, and then Sonny and Kane up top. I think Sissoko might need managing slightly because coming back from injury, he's looked absolutely knackered in the games as well, but he's completed 90 minutes in both. So I think, he could, I wouldn't say he could do the rest, but I just think he'll need managing and stuff like that. So yeah, I think Sonny, as I mentioned, will be a threat for us, and will cause Sheffield United problems. Dele, being in between the lines will help. Winks and Lo Celso, according to some pundits, as we know, aren't great. Jamie Redknapp. But yeah, I think those 2 will probably start, as I think Jose might want to try and keep the ball a little bit. I think that we've struggled with that a lot in against United and West Ham. I think we struggled actually to string a few passes together. But having those two in there should allow us to do that. And yeah, like I said, I just think we'll match them up. Big compliment to Sheffield United in that respect. But I think sometimes when a team plays with a back three, you kind of have to match them up to try and get something and not get outdone. It's usually, which is quite strange, because usually when a team plays a back three, they're the ones that are going to be outdone in those wider areas with the 2v1s. But the way Sheffield United played, they outdo you in 2v1s in those wider areas. So yeah, that's just how I see us going. What do you think to that then?
It's interesting. Let's put it that way. I think I personally can't see that, but obviously that's why it's good to get different opinions on, because there's no way that I'm going to be saying anything like that. As I said, I think Jose will be. He's trying to make a stamp, isn't he? I think that 4-2-3-1, at least until the end of the season, is going to be the way he does play. But yeah, your one is interesting. I quite like the midfield duo of Gio and Winks. I have to admit that does sound exciting. Two players that can actually pass the ball always helps in the midfield.
Two players that can control the football as well, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And I quite like how Delhi think. You'll probably have a bit more space there as well, and I think that's the sort of areas where he thrives. Especially coming into the box when there's two other strikers, I think, or two other people who could potentially be in the box, and then more central areas, I guess. I think he could benefit from that, because obviously they'll have to pick up their other two. Dele Alli late runs in, or and such. So I think that could be interesting. But yeah, I do quite like that, I have to admit. But whether or not it happens, I guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, Joe, hopefully this will be the final bit anyway. Score predictions. What are you going for, and who's going to score as well?
I think we'll keep another clean sheet. I know that's a bold statement.
Very bold, considering we've kept 5 all season.
Yeah, but I think we have looked quite good defensively since the restart, to be honest. So yeah, I think a clean sheet. I think we'll win 2-0. I just think the way Sheffield United have been playing and looked at, they're not confident at the minute. I think they look a bit down, a bit flat. So I think there's an opportunity there for a win. And as I said earlier, I think the break will help us. I think Harry will get another. And I think Gio will get an assist at least. I think he's going to register his first Premier League assist. The other goal, I think it'll be a bit of a random one potentially. I don't think it'll be Son. I don't think it'll be Bergwijn or Lucas. I don't think it'll be Dele either. I've just got a feeling it'll be like a set piece, which we won't expect, because obviously Sheffield United, quite a big team. I'm going to say Dyer again, like I did for the West Ham game that didn't happen. I think Dyer will score before the end of the season, so I'm just going to keep saying it until he does.
Yeah, keep putting him in, Joe. He might bag one eventually.
Exactly. Then I'll look like an absolute mastermind. So yeah, I think Kane and Dyer. I don't know why I keep saying that, but that's my feeling. What about you?
Do you know what? I was just thinking about it, and as you were saying there, I actually was, because my initial reaction was I was thinking 2-1, but then as you was sort of talking, I'm now leaning a bit more towards a 3-2 win. Don't know why. Just think there's going to be goals. Just think there's going to be goals in this one. I think it's probably for the fact that both teams realistically have to go for it. So that leads me to think that there'll be goals. For Sheffield United, I think Moussa will score. And I think one of their centre backs will score from a set piece. Just mentioned there, we've kept 5 clean sheets all season, so I'm not overly confident we're going to keep one.
Positivity for me.
So, yeah, I think scoring for us, I'm going to go with the 3 attacking players, Kane, Son, and Dele. I think Dele's got to score at some point. Bit like you with Dyer, if I keep putting him in, he might back eventually.
I think yours is a bit more guaranteed.
Yeah, but I think mine's a bit more realistic. But Dele, obviously his last goal was against Burnley, which
love that.
Game-wise wasn't that long ago. But was March. We were both at that game as well. So yeah, I think he's due a goal. Kane getting one. I think now the goals are going to start flowing for him. And I think it would be really, really good to see Sonny bag. Obviously, he had the goal disallowed against West Ham. Rightly or wrongly for offside. So yeah, I just think Sonny needs a goal as well, just to bring up a little bit more confidence in him, because he's not looked his usual self. So yeah, I think Sheffield United, Mousset O'Connell, if he plays. If not, I think John Egan will get his nut on one. And then for us, Kane, Son, and Dele.
Is Gio going to get an assist though?
Wishful thinking. Listen, there's a part of me that's going to think he is, but then I actually think Aurier is going to get an assist.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he's going to get one for Dele's goal. I've just pictured him going down the line, cutting one back, Dele getting on the end of it and steering it into a corner. And that's a bit of a pattern that I don't know if we work on at all in training. I'd imagine, we work on patterns of play, but I don't know if that's a specific one that we'll work on. But yeah, I think Serge will get an assist. Obviously, statistically, one of the best right backs in the league this season. To much of your amusement and bemusement as well at the same time. So yeah, but yeah, I think that's my score prediction anyway. 3-2 to the mighty Spurs. And Joe, you've gone 2-0. Yeah.
Yeah, 2-0. 2-0.
So, guys, we've both gone
for
a clean sheet, and we've both gone for a Spurs win as well. So, guys, again, in the comment section, tell us your thoughts on our team selection, our score predictions, and who you think is going to score as well. And that is it. Our Sheffield United preview is done. We hope you enjoyed it, and make sure you like this video, comment with your thoughts, subscribe to the channel, follow us on social media for more content as well. And as always, up the Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.